All right, so we're diving into some RoleCatcher resources today for diplomat interview prep.
Yeah, some really good stuff in here.
It is exciting stuff,
Mhm.
I think.
Makes
It
it
is
a high stakes interview, right?
super high stakes, and these guides, I think, break it down really well.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump into the diplomat career and interview guides from RoleCatcher and see how they can help you nail that interview.
Sounds good.
All right, so first things first, what exactly does a diplomat do?
Oh man, it's kind of a loaded question, right?
The big question.
There's a lot to unpack there. I mean, it's not all fancy dinners and shaking hands.
Right. Yeah.
You're representing your nation on the world stage, you're protecting your country's interests, you're smoothing communication between governments,
Yeah.
and that's just a small sliver.
Right. Yeah, and I like how the guide emphasizes that it's not just about like the political side of things, right?
Yeah.
You're a cultural bridge builder. You're a negotiator. You're an advocate. And they work in some really interesting places too.
Yeah, for sure.
Embassies, obviously government offices, but also international organizations.
Yeah, the UN, the World Bank.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty diverse career path.
Yeah.
And in terms of work-life balance, I mean, the guide is pretty upfront about the fact that
Yeah,
it can be pretty demanding.
long hours, definitely a lot of travel.
Yeah, but the impact you can have,
I mean, the impact is huge.
that's got to be incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's dive into the skills and knowledge that are essential for a diplomat. What did you find interesting in the guide?
Well, it breaks down these must-have skills like active listening and critical thinking and judgment.
Yeah.
No surprise there.
Makes sense.
But it also emphasizes cultural sensitivity and language proficiency, which makes sense. You're
Yeah.
navigating a world of different perspectives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the knowledge-based international relations diplomacy law. Time to brush up on those treaties.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the guide outlines these clear career stages from entry level all the way up to senior diplomat. What does that look like?
Well, entry level, you're doing a lot of research and you're supporting the senior diplomats. So it's kind of like your diplomatic boot camp.
Right.
And then as you progress, you start representing your nation at conferences, negotiating agreements. And then senior level, you're talking high stakes policymaking, crisis management.
Intense.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
But what's cool is that they provide these real-life profiles for each stage so you can really see what it actually looks like.
Yeah, and what skills you'll need to develop to be successful at each level.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Okay, so let's talk about those interview questions, because I know that's what everyone's really here for. And RoleCatcher gives us 9 sample questions, and they are not messing around.
No, they're not.
So let's start with a classic. Describe your experience with international negotiations. How do you answer that without sounding generic?
Well, it's about showing, not telling, right? So instead of just saying you're a good negotiator, give them a concrete example.
Give them the story.
Exactly. Think of a specific negotiation you were involved in, outline the challenges, your approach, and the outcome.
Right. And I imagine they'll dig deeper with follow-up questions.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Be prepared for questions like, what was the most challenging aspect of that negotiation? Or how did you ensure all parties felt heard and respected?
So it's not just about reaching an agreement, it's about how
Exactly.
active listening seems key here.
Oh, absolutely. And not just in your answers, but also in how you engage with the interviewers.
Okay.
Demonstrate that active listening throughout the interview.
Yeah. Now, the guide mentions these real-life profiles for each stage of a diplomatic career. Could we use those to help us prepare for these questions?
Yeah, definitely. The guide highlights the importance of understanding where you fit in on that diplomatic ladder. Studying those profiles can give you insights into the specific skills and experiences that are valued at different levels.
Right, so you can really tailor your answers to showcase your readiness for that specific role.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to another question that often comes up. Can you discuss your experience with conflict resolution? This one seems pretty straightforward, but I'm sure there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, it's about more than just settling arguments, right? They want to see how you approach conflict, how you analyze the situation, how you identify the underlying interests and motivations of all the parties involved.
So how do you demonstrate that in a compelling way?
Focus on your ability to remain calm under pressure, how you facilitate dialogue, and your ability to find creative solutions that address the needs of everyone involved.
Right, so it's not about imposing your will, it's about finding that common ground.
Exactly. And think about situations where you had to de-escalate a conflict and bring people together. It could be a workplace disagreement, a community dispute, even a personal conflict.
Right, right. The career guide emphasizes cultural sensitivity and language proficiency as key skills. Could we tie those into this question as well?
Oh, absolutely. If you have experience resolving conflicts that involve people from different cultures, be sure to highlight that.
Right, because it shows that you can navigate diverse perspectives and find that common ground even when there are cultural barriers.
Exactly. It's all about being a bridge builder.
Okay, what about potential follow-up questions from this conflict resolution question?
Well, they might ask about the strategies you use to facilitate communication or how you built trust with the parties involved. So be prepared to go deep and give specific examples.
Right, okay, so I know we're going to get to RoleCatcher's AI tools in more detail later, but can you give us a little sneak peek into how they can help with these interview questions?
Yeah, sure. Imagine practicing your answers and then having an AI analyze your tone, your pacing, even your choice of words. It can help you identify areas where you might be coming across as too aggressive or too passive and suggest ways to refine your delivery to sound more diplomatic.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Exactly. And remember, it's not just about sounding diplomatic, it's also about showcasing your knowledge and understanding of the field. That's where the career guide comes in handy again. It's packed with information about the history of diplomacy, key diplomatic principles, and current events that are shaping the global landscape. Familiarizing yourself with this information will help you speak with authority and confidence in your interview.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to another question. Can you discuss a time when you had to make a difficult decision in a diplomatic setting? Now, this one seems like it requires some serious thought.
It does. It's a tough one. This question is designed to assess your judgment, your ability to weigh different factors, and your capacity to make sound decisions under pressure.
So choose a situation where there were no easy answers, where you had to consider competing interests and potential consequences.
Exactly. And when you're answering the question, start by setting the scene. Briefly describe the situation and the challenges you faced. Then explain your decision-making process. What options did you consider? What were the potential ramifications of each option? What factors ultimately influenced your decision? They're looking for your ability to think strategically and to justify your choices.
Okay, so what are some pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Well, don't choose a situation that was trivial or easily resolved. They want to see how you handle complex, high-stakes dilemmas, and avoid dwelling on the negative aspects of the situation. Focus on your problem-solving skills and your ability to find a workable solution, even in challenging circumstances.
Right, and how can we tie this back to the career guide?
The guide emphasizes the importance of understanding diplomatic protocols and procedures. When you're discussing your difficult decision, you can demonstrate your knowledge of these protocols, show that you can navigate sensitive situations with tact and diplomacy.
Okay, great point. It's about showing them you can handle the nuances of diplomatic life. Okay, let's move on to another question. How do you stay up to date on international events and trends? Now, this one seems less about your diplomatic skills and more about your general knowledge and awareness.
It's both, really.
Yeah.
While it's definitely about staying informed, it's also about demonstrating your genuine interest in the field of diplomacy.
Right.
Show them you're not just passively consuming news, but that you're actively engaging with it.
So how do we do that?
Be specific about your sources. Mention publications, think tanks, or even social media accounts that you follow. Talk about specific events or trends that have caught your attention and explain why they're relevant to your understanding of international affairs.
Right. So it's about showing that you're a thoughtful consumer of information and that you're connecting the dots between current events and the world of diplomacy.
Exactly.
Okay, what if someone's listening and they're thinking, I don't have a lot of experience in this area. What do I do?
Well, the career guide is a great starting point. It provides an overview of key international relations concepts, and it can point you towards reputable sources for further research. Don't be afraid to mention that you are actively expanding your knowledge base and that you're eager to learn.
Okay, so it's about demonstrating that passion for the field, even if you're still developing your expertise.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about another question that might seem a bit daunting. Can you discuss your experience working with different cultures? Now, this one seems particularly relevant to a diplomatic career.
Yeah, absolutely. Cultural sensitivity is a cornerstone of diplomacy. They want to see that you can navigate diverse perspectives, communicate effectively across cultures, and build bridges of understanding.
So how do we effectively answer this question?
Provide specific examples of your cross-cultural experiences. Maybe you studied abroad, volunteered in a multicultural community, or worked on projects with people from different backgrounds.
Right.
Talk about the challenges you faced, the lessons you learned, and how you adapted your communication style to build rapport.
And I imagine storytelling is important here, right? Paint a vivid picture of your experiences.
Absolutely. For example, you could describe a time when you had to navigate a cultural misunderstanding or a time when you had to bridge a communication gap. The key is to showcase your ability to connect with people on a human level, regardless of their cultural background.
Right. And I bet RoleCatcher's AI tools can help with this too, right?
Yeah, they can. The AI can analyze your language for any unintentional biases or culturally insensitive phrases. It can even help you identify areas where you could be more inclusive and respectful in your communication style.
That's incredible. It's
Yeah.
taking cultural sensitivity to a whole new level.
Exactly. And remember, cultural sensitivity is not just about avoiding mistakes. It's also about seeking opportunities to learn from other cultures and to broaden your own perspective. The career guide emphasizes the importance of lifelong learning and cultural immersion for diplomats.
Okay, so we've tackled a few questions that focus on personal experiences and skills. Let's shift gears a bit and look at a question that's more about your understanding of the field. Can you discuss your experience with public speaking and media relations? Now, do all diplomats need to be skilled public speakers?
Not all diplomats are constantly in the public eye, but effective communication is absolutely essential for this profession. They need to be able to articulate their country's position clearly and persuasively, whether they're addressing a large audience or speaking to a journalist.
Right, so even if you're not giving speeches every day, you still need to be able to communicate effectively in a variety of settings. So how do we showcase that in the interview?
Start by giving specific examples of your public speaking experience. It could be anything from giving presentations in university to leading workshops or even participating in debates or Model UN. Focus on the key elements of effective communication: clarity, conciseness, engagement, and persuasion.
Right. And the career guide also mentions the importance of maintaining composure under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about times when you had to handle challenging questions from an audience or deliver a presentation under stressful circumstances. Highlight your ability to think on your feet, to remain calm and collected, and to articulate your thoughts clearly even when you're feeling the heat.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's about showing them you can handle the pressure cooker of international diplomacy.
Uh,
Okay, what about media relations? Is that a specific skill we need to address?
Absolutely. In today's world where information spreads like wildfire, diplomats need to be skilled in navigating the media landscape. If you have experience giving interviews, writing press releases, or managing social media for an organization, be sure to highlight those experiences.
And I'm guessing RoleCatcher's AI can help with this too, right?
Absolutely. The AI can analyze your responses for clarity and conciseness, helping you craft sound bites that are both informative and impactful. It can even analyze your body language in video recordings, providing feedback on how to project confidence and credibility on camera.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like having a personal media consultant in your back pocket.
Hmm.
Okay, let's move on to a question that seems geared towards more senior level roles. Can you discuss your experience with policy development and implementation?
It's true that senior diplomats often play a significant role in shaping and implementing policy. But even entry-level diplomats need to have a strong understanding of the policy process and how it impacts their work.
Right. So how do we approach this question if we haven't been directly involved in crafting policy at a high level?
Think about any experience you've had with policy development, even on a smaller scale. Maybe you were involved in student government, volunteered for a political campaign, or worked on a project that involved research and analysis of a particular policy issue.
Okay, so it's about demonstrating our understanding of the policy cycle even if we haven't been in the driver's seat.
Exactly. When you're discussing your experience, highlight the key stages of policy development: identifying the problem, gathering information, analyzing options, making recommendations, and evaluating the impact. Show them you understand how policy decisions are made and implemented and how those decisions impact the real world.
And how can we tie this back to the career guide?
The guide provides valuable insights into the different types of diplomatic missions and the specific policy areas they focus on. Familiarizing yourself with these different areas can help you tailor your answers to demonstrate your knowledge of relevant policy issues.
Okay, so it's about showcasing our understanding of the policy process and demonstrating our awareness of the specific policy areas that are relevant to the diplomatic role we're applying for.
Uh,
Now let's tackle a question that touches on a crucial aspect of diplomacy. How do you handle sensitive information and maintain confidentiality?
this question is all about demonstrating your discretion, your judgment, and your unwavering commitment to ethical behavior.
Yeah, it's a fundamental quality for any diplomat, given the sensitive nature of their work.
Absolutely. Start by discussing specific protocols and procedures you've followed in the past to handle confidential information. You could talk about data security measures, privacy policies, or even basic practices like shredding sensitive documents or password protecting your computer.
Right, but it sounds like it's important to go beyond the technical aspects and really emphasize the ethical dimension of confidentiality.
You're absolutely right. Talk about the potential consequences of a breach of confidentiality and express your understanding of the importance of protecting sensitive information. And if you have any personal anecdotes that illustrate your commitment to confidentiality, be sure to share those as well.
That's a great point. It's about showing them that you're not just following rules, but that you understand the gravity of handling confidential information. Okay, let's move on to our final question for this section. Can you discuss your experience working with NGOs or civil society organizations? Now, this one seems a bit more specialized. Do all diplomats work closely with NGOs?
Not all diplomatic roles involve extensive interaction with NGOs, but it's becoming increasingly common, especially in areas like humanitarian aid development and human rights.
Right, so even if we haven't worked directly with NGOs, it's still a good idea to be prepared to discuss their role in international affairs and how we might collaborate with them in a diplomatic role.
Exactly. The interviewer is looking for evidence of your collaborative skills, your ability to build partnerships, and your understanding of the complex interplay between governments, NGOs, and civil society.
So how do we approach this question if our experience with NGOs is limited?
If you've volunteered, interned, or worked with an NGO, describe those experiences, highlight the skills you developed and the lessons you learned. And if you haven't had direct experience, discuss specific NGOs that you admire or whose work you find impactful.
Right, and we can also draw on the career guide here, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. The guide provides insights into the different types of NGOs and their roles in international affairs. It also discusses the challenges and opportunities of collaborating with NGOs in a diplomatic context. So, familiarizing yourself with this information can help you demonstrate your understanding of the complexities involved.
Okay, so it's about showcasing our understanding of the NGO landscape, even if our practical experience is limited. Now, before we move on to the next section, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, RoleCatcher's AI tools.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by how these tools can help us tailor our answers and get personalized feedback.
Yeah, let's dive into that. One of the most impressive features of RoleCatcher's AI is its ability to analyze job descriptions and identify the key skills and experiences that employers are looking for.
So it's not just about having like a generic set of answers, it's about really tailoring our responses to the specific requirements of each job we apply for.
Exactly. The AI can help you identify keywords and phrases from the job description that you can incorporate into your answers, demonstrating that you have a clear understanding of the role and how your skills align with their needs.
That's amazing. It's like having a personal resume writer and interview coach rolled into one. Okay, so the AI helps us tailor our answers to the specific job. What about feedback? How does that work?
Imagine this. You practice your answers, maybe even record a video of yourself answering the questions, and then you upload it to RoleCatcher's AI platform.
Okay, and then the AI analyzes our performance, it gives us feedback.
Exactly. It can analyze your tone of voice, your pacing, your choice of words, even your body language if you've recorded a video. It's like having a virtual diplomat assessing your performance and providing you with targeted suggestions for improvement.
That's incredible. It takes the guesswork out of interview prep. So it analyzes our performance, tells us what we're doing well, and highlights areas where we can improve. What kind of specific feedback does it provide?
It might suggest that you rephrase a certain point to sound more diplomatic, or that you adjust your posture to convey more confidence. It can even pick up on subtle cues like hesitations or filler words and suggest ways to eliminate them from your speech.
That's so helpful. It's like having a personal stylist for our interview style.
Yeah.
But how does it actually work? How does the AI know what good looks like in a diplomatic context?
RoleCatcher has trained its AI on a vast database of interviews with successful diplomats, as well as on diplomatic speeches, documents, and other materials that exemplify the communication style and substance that is valued in the field.
So it's learned from the best of the best?
Yeah.
And it's using that knowledge to help us refine our own interview skills.
Exactly. And the best part is it's constantly learning and evolving, so the feedback you get is always tailored to the latest trends and best practices in the field.
That's amazing. It's like having a personal mentor who's always up to date on the latest developments in diplomacy.
It really is. It's democratizing access to expert-level interview prep, giving everyone a fair shot at landing their dream diplomatic job.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first section. We've tackled some of the toughest interview questions we've explored, how RoleCatcher's AI can help us tailor our answers and get personalized feedback. And we've touched on some of the key insights from the career guide.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
I know there's so much more to explore. Well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and delve even deeper into the world of diplomat interview prep.
So ready to jump back into some more of these interview questions?
Yeah, let's do it. We've covered a lot of ground, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
Definitely. Let's look at this one. Can you discuss your experience working with NGOs or civil society organizations? This one can feel a bit tricky, especially if you haven't had direct experience working within an NGO.
It's true. Not all diplomatic roles involve extensive interaction with NGOs, but the career guide is really highlighting how increasingly important that is becoming.
Right, exactly. The interviewer is probably looking for evidence of your collaborative skills, your ability to build partnerships, and your understanding of that complex interplay between governments, NGOs, and civil society.
So how do we approach this question if our experience with NGOs is limited?
Think broadly. Have you volunteered for any community organizations, participated in any advocacy groups? Even online activism or supporting a cause through social media can demonstrate your understanding of civil society's role.
That's a great point. It's about showcasing that awareness and willingness to engage with different stakeholders, even if our experience is more on the informal side.
Precisely. And if you've had any exposure to NGOs, even through research or coursework, talk about specific organizations that you admire or whose missions resonate with you.
Now, this reminds me of something we talked about earlier, the AI-powered resume builder from RoleCatcher. Could that be helpful here?
Absolutely. The AI can analyze job descriptions and suggest relevant keywords and experiences to highlight, making sure your resume really stands out to potential employers.
So it can even help us identify NGOs that align with the specific diplomatic role that we're targeting.
Yeah, so you can tailor your application and your interview responses.
That's incredibly helpful, especially for those of us who might be newer to the world of NGOs and international development.
Okay, let's tackle another question here. Can you discuss a time when you had to make a difficult decision in a diplomatic setting? This one feels particularly weighty.
This question is all about judgment.
Yeah.
Your ability to weigh competing interests and your capacity to make these tough calls under pressure.
It sounds like they're really looking for a specific example here. What kind of situation do you think would best demonstrate those qualities?
Choose a situation where there was no easy answer, where you had to consider multiple perspectives and the potential consequences. It could be a time when you had to balance competing priorities, navigate a sensitive political landscape, or make a decision with limited information.
So walk us through how to approach this. First, set the scene. Briefly describe the situation and the challenges that you faced, and then walk them through your decision-making process. What factors did you consider? Who did you consult? What were the potential risks and benefits of each option?
It's about showcasing those analytical skills and our ability to think strategically.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to discuss the challenges that you encountered or any doubts that you had. It shows self-awareness and a willingness to learn from your experiences.
But always end on a positive note, right?
Absolutely. Highlight the positive outcome of your decision, even if it wasn't perfect. Emphasize what you learned from the experience and how it prepared you for future challenges.
This makes me think about something mentioned in the career guide, the importance of lifelong learning for diplomats. It's not just about having all the answers, but being adaptable and open to growth.
Exactly. Diplomacy is a constantly evolving field, and the ability to learn from your experiences, both successes and setbacks, that's crucial.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about a question that often causes anxiety. Describe your experience with public speaking and media relations. Public speaking can be daunting, even for experienced professionals.
This question's about demonstrating your ability to communicate effectively in all these different settings, from formal speeches to impromptu interviews. Remember, diplomats are often called upon to articulate their country's position clearly and persuasively.
So how do we showcase those skills if our public speaking experience is limited?
Think broadly. Have you given presentations in class-led workshops or training sessions? Even participating in group discussions or debates can demonstrate your comfort level with speaking in front of others.
And I imagine the career guide can offer some helpful insights here too.
Absolutely. The guide emphasizes the importance of adapting your communication style to different audiences. It offers tips on crafting compelling narratives, using persuasive language, and handling those challenging questions with grace and composure.
Those are invaluable skills, not just for public speaking, but for all aspects of diplomacy.
Precisely. And let's not forget about media relations. Diplomats need to be adept at navigating the media landscape, understanding how to shape narratives and communicate effectively through all these different channels.
So if we haven't had direct experience with media relations, how do we approach that aspect of the question?
Highlight any experience you have with writing, whether it's crafting persuasive essays, creating content for social media, or even writing blog posts or articles.
So it's about showcasing our ability to communicate effectively in writing, which is a key skill for diplomats who often need to draft reports, memos, and other official documents.
Exactly. And don't forget to mention any coursework or training you've had in media relations or public speaking. It shows your commitment to developing those skills.
Of course, we can always rely on RoleCatcher's AI for that extra edge.
Mhm.
I'm particularly curious about how it can help with media training.
RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your video recordings, providing feedback on your body language, your tone of voice, and your overall presentation style. It can even suggest ways to improve your on-camera presence and make you appear more confident and credible.
That's incredible. It's like having a personal media coach at your fingertips. It can be so helpful to get that objective feedback, especially when it comes to something as nuanced as on-camera presence. Okay, let's move on to another question that might seem a bit daunting. Can you discuss your experience with policy development and implementation?
This question is designed to assess your analytical skills, your ability to think strategically, your understanding of the complex interplay between policy and practice.
So it sounds like they're looking for someone who can not only grasp complex policy issues, but also see how those policies translate into real-world action.
Exactly. They want to see that you can think beyond the theoretical and understand the practical implications of policy decisions.
So how do we approach this question if we haven't been directly involved in crafting policy at a high level?
Think about any experience you've had with research analysis or problem solving. Have you worked on projects that required you to gather information, evaluate options, and make recommendations?
That could include academic research projects, internships where you analyze data or propose solutions, or even volunteer work where you identified community needs and developed strategies to address them.
Precisely. And when you're discussing your experience, highlight the steps you took to understand the issue, the methods you used to analyze the situation, and the recommendations you made.
It's about showcasing our ability to think critically, to gather and analyze information, and to develop well-reasoned solutions.
Exactly. And if you can connect your experience to the field of diplomacy, even better. For example, you could discuss a time when you researched a specific foreign policy issue, analyzed the impact of a trade agreement, or evaluated the effectiveness of a humanitarian aid program.
The career guide also provides valuable context here. It offers insights into the different types of diplomatic missions and the specific policy areas that they focus on.
Absolutely. Familiarizing yourself with those different areas can help you tailor your answers and demonstrate your knowledge of relevant policy issues.
Okay, so it's about showcasing our understanding of the policy process and demonstrating our awareness of the specific policy areas that are relevant to the diplomatic role we're applying for. Okay, let's move on to a question that's essential for any aspiring diplomat. How do you stay up to date on international events and trends? This seems like a straightforward question, but I imagine there's more to it than simply saying, I read the news.
You're right. This question is about demonstrating your genuine interest in the field of diplomacy and showcasing your commitment to staying informed about global affairs.
So how do we go beyond simply listing news sources?
Be specific about the publications, think tanks, journals, or even social media accounts that you follow. Talk about specific events or trends that have caught your attention and explain why they are relevant to your understanding of international affairs.
It's about showcasing our intellectual curiosity and demonstrating that we're actively engaging with the world around us.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to mention any languages you're learning or any efforts you're making to immerse yourself in different cultures. These all demonstrate your commitment to broadening your horizons and understanding global perspectives.
And I imagine RoleCatcher's AI can play a role here as well.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can help you stay informed by curating news articles and research papers that are relevant to your interests and career goals. It can also connect you with online communities and discussion forums where you can engage with other aspiring diplomats and learn from their experiences.
That's a fantastic resource. It's like having a personalized news feed and a global network of mentors all rolled into one, too. Okay, let's tackle another question that often trips people up. How do you handle sensitive information and maintain confidentiality?
This question is all about demonstrating your discretion, your judgment, and your unwavering commitment to ethical behavior.
It's a fundamental quality for any diplomat, given the sensitive nature of their work.
Precisely. Start by discussing specific protocols and procedures you've followed in the past to handle confidential information. This could include data security measures, privacy policies, or even basic practices like shredding sensitive documents or password protecting your computer.
But it's about more than just following the rules, right? It's about understanding the gravity of handling sensitive information and the potential consequences of a breach of confidentiality.
Absolutely. Emphasize your commitment to ethical behavior and your understanding of the importance of discretion. If you have personal anecdotes that illustrate your commitment to confidentiality, be sure to share those as well.
This makes me think of something mentioned in the career guide, the importance of building trust and maintaining integrity in diplomatic relationships. Confidentiality is a key part of that.
Exactly. Diplomats need to be seen as trustworthy and reliable, and that means handling sensitive information with the utmost care and discretion. Okay, let's shift gears and talk about a question that often causes anxiety. Describe your experience with international negotiations.
This is a classic interview question, and it's one that can really make or break a candidate. It's a chance to showcase your diplomatic skills in action, your ability to navigate those complex situations, and your talent for finding creative solutions.
Exactly. When answering this question, choose a specific negotiation that you were involved in and outline the key challenges, your approach, and the outcome.
It's all about showing, not telling. Instead of simply stating that you're a good negotiator, give concrete examples that demonstrate your skills.
Precisely. Did you have to bridge cultural differences? Did you find creative solutions to complex problems? Were you able to build consensus and achieve a win-win outcome? These are the details that will make your answer stand out.
And I imagine follow-up questions will delve deeper into our process. What should we be prepared for?
Be ready for questions like, what was the most challenging aspect of that negotiation? Or how did you handle disagreements or conflicts that arose during the process? These questions are designed to assess your conflict resolution skills, your ability to remain calm under pressure, and your talent for finding common ground.
This reminds me of something we discussed earlier, the importance of active listening. It's not just about having the right answers, but about truly listening to and understanding the other parties involved.
Absolutely. Active listening is crucial for any successful negotiation. It allows you to build rapport, identify common goals, and find solutions that address everyone's needs.
And I bet RoleCatcher's AI can help us hone those active listening skills, right?
You bet RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your video recordings, providing feedback on your body language, your tone of voice, and the way you engage with others. It can help you identify any nonverbal cues that might be sending the wrong message and suggest ways to improve your communication style to convey empathy, respect, and attentiveness.
That's amazing. It's like having a personal communication coach helping us refine our interpersonal skills.
Exactly. And remember, effective communication is not just about what you say, but how you say it. Your body language, your tone of voice, even your facial expressions can all convey messages that influence the outcome of a negotiation.
So it's about being mindful of all aspects of our communication, both verbal and nonverbal. Okay, let's move on to another question that often comes up in diplomat interviews. Can you discuss your experience working with different cultures? This one seems particularly relevant to a career that involves interacting with people from all over the world.
Absolutely. Cultural sensitivity is a cornerstone of diplomacy. They want to see that you can navigate diverse perspectives, communicate effectively across cultures, and build bridges of understanding.
So how do we effectively answer this question? What kind of experiences should we highlight?
Provide specific examples of your cross-cultural experiences. Maybe you studied abroad, volunteered in a multicultural community, or worked on projects with people from different backgrounds. Talk about the challenges you faced, the lessons you learned, and how you adapted your communication style to build rapport.
I imagine storytelling is important here, right? It's about bringing those experiences to life and showing the interviewer how we've navigated cultural differences in real-world situations.
Absolutely. Paint a vivid picture of your experiences. For example, you could describe a time when you had to navigate a cultural misunderstanding, or a time when you had to bridge a communication gap. The key is to showcase your ability to connect with people on a human level, regardless of their cultural background.
And I bet RoleCatcher's AI tools can help with this too, right? I'm curious about how it can help us identify and address any unconscious biases we might have.
You're right. The AI can analyze your language for any unintentional biases or culturally insensitive phrases. It can even help you identify areas where you could be more inclusive and respectful in your communication style.
That's incredible. It's taking cultural sensitivity to a whole new level.
Exactly. And remember, cultural sensitivity is not just about avoiding mistakes, it's also about seeking opportunities to learn from other cultures and to broaden your own perspective. The career guide emphasizes the importance of lifelong learning and cultural immersion for diplomats.
It's about embracing the richness and diversity of the world around us and being open to new ways of thinking and being done. Okay, let's tackle another question that often comes up in diplomat interviews. How do you handle stress and pressure?
Diplomacy is a demanding profession that often involves working in high-pressure situations. This question is designed to assess your resilience, your ability to stay calm under fire, and your capacity to make sound decisions even when you're feeling stressed.
So how do we showcase those qualities effectively? What kind of examples should we draw on?
Think about times when you've faced challenging deadlines, navigated complex problems, or handled unexpected crises. It could be a time when you had to juggle multiple priorities, work long hours, or make difficult decisions with limited information.
The key is to demonstrate that we can remain focused, adaptable, and solution-oriented, even in the face of adversity.
Exactly. Describe the specific steps you took to manage stress and pressure, whether it was prioritizing tasks, seeking support from colleagues, or practicing mindfulness techniques.
And I imagine RoleCatcher's AI can offer some valuable insights here too.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your video recordings, paying attention to your tone of voice, your facial expressions, and your body language. It can identify any signs of stress or anxiety and suggest ways to improve your nonverbal communication to project calm and confidence even when you're feeling the heat.
That's incredible. It's like having a personal stress management coach helping us regulate our emotions and present ourselves in the most positive light. Okay, let's move on to a question that's crucial for any aspiring diplomat. Why do you want to be a diplomat? This might seem like a simple question, but I imagine it requires some careful thought.
This is your chance to articulate your passion for diplomacy, your understanding of the profession, and your vision for how you can contribute to the field.
It's about more than just saying, I want to travel the world and attend fancy dinners. It's about demonstrating a genuine commitment to public service and a deep understanding of the challenges and rewards of a diplomatic career.
Exactly. Think about what inspired you to pursue this path. Was it a particular event, a book you read, a person you admire? Connect your personal experiences to your aspirations for a diplomatic career.
And it's also important to be specific about our goals and how we envision ourselves contributing to the field, right?
Absolutely. Do you have a particular area of interest, such as human rights, international development, or conflict resolution? Do you have a vision for how you can promote peace, understanding, and cooperation between nations? Share your aspirations and let your passion shine through.
You know, this makes me think of something we discussed earlier, the importance of aligning our skills and experiences with the specific diplomatic roles that we're targeting. RoleCatcher's AI can help us with that, right?
You bet RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and identify the key skills and experiences that employers are looking for. It can also suggest ways to tailor your resume cover letter and interview responses to showcase your qualifications in the most compelling way.
That's a game changer. It's like having a personal career coach helping us navigate the competitive world of diplomatic recruitment.
Exactly. And remember, landing a diplomatic job is just the first step. The real journey begins when you start your diplomatic career and begin to make your mark on the world.
So it's about more than just acing the interview. It's about developing the skills, knowledge, and mindset we'll need to succeed in this challenging and rewarding profession.
Precisely. And that's where the career guide comes in handy. It's packed with valuable advice on everything from navigating diplomatic protocols to building relationships with foreign counterparts to managing the stresses of a demanding career.
It's an invaluable resource for anyone aspiring to a diplomatic career.
It truly is. And remember, diplomacy is more than just a job. It's a calling, a way of life, a commitment to making the world a better place.
That's a powerful way to think about it. It's a reminder that diplomats aren't just representing their country, they're also representing the values of peace, cooperation, and understanding.
Exactly. And with the right preparation, dedication, and support, you can achieve your dreams and make a positive impact on the world.
So we've really covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from analyzing those tough interview questions to exploring the nuances of diplomatic skills.
Yeah, and we've seen how RoleCatcher's resources, especially those AI tools, can really provide a significant advantage when you're prepping for that crucial interview.
You know, going through these questions and insights It's clear that a diplomatic career requires a unique blend of knowledge, skills, and personal qualities.
Yeah, it's not just about knowing the right protocol or speaking multiple languages. It's
Right.
about having the judgment to navigate these complex situations, the empathy to build bridges across cultures, and the resilience to handle pressure with grace.
And that brings me to a final thought from the career guide that I found particularly compelling. It emphasizes that diplomats, in many ways, are representatives of humanity as a whole.
That's a profound way to think about it. They're tasked with finding common ground, building bridges, and fostering understanding between nations and cultures, ultimately working towards a more peaceful and interconnected world.
It's a huge responsibility, but also an incredible opportunity to make a real difference on a global scale.
Exactly. So as you prepare for your interview, remember that it's not just about landing a job. It's about embarking on a journey of service, of contributing your unique talents to something larger than yourself.
It's about being an ambassador, not just for your country, but for the values of diplomacy, peace, cooperation, and understanding.
And with the insights and tools that we've discussed today, you'll be well equipped to not just ace that interview, but to thrive in this challenging and rewarding field.
Well, this deep dive has been a fantastic journey, and we hope it's empowered you to confidently approach your diplomat interview.
Remember, preparation is key. Take the time to craft your answers, practice your delivery, and leverage the resources that are available to you, especially those incredible AI tools from RoleCatcher.
The world of diplomacy awaits.
Go out there, be your best self, and make a positive impact on the world.
We believe in you. And that concludes our deep dive into the world of diplomat interview prep.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to make the world a better place.
Goodbye and good luck.